Here's the part almost nobody believes until it happens to them. Winning isn't the good part. Winning is just the moment the real test begins and you don't get to study for it. 6:40 a.m., a Wednesday, the way it's been every night shift morning for 3 years. You're 31, still in scrubs, sitting on the edge of your bed, too tired to change, checking numbers on the small television the same tired way you always do. You're an ER nurse. You have $6,100 in savings, $31,000 in student loans, and a car that's needed a new alternator for 2 months you keep pretending you didn't hear. The numbers come up. You look at the ticket. You look at the screen. Your brain does something you don't have a word for, a kind of static, like a radio caught between two stations. You set the ticket down. You pick it back up. 6 numbers. All 6 in order. The jackpot is $500 million. You don't know yet that the lump sum after tax lands near $189 million. Right now, you only know your hands won't stop shaking, and that you've never told a living person you play these numbers, not even your brother. Some part of you was always a little embarrassed by the hope it required. Money doesn't change you at the moment it arrives. It changes you in the 4 hours before anyone else knows, when you're the only person alive who knows your own life just ended and a different one hasn't started yet. You don't sleep. You sit on the edge of the bed until the sun's properly up, thinking about what it means to hold a secret this size with nobody to hand it to. By morning, you make the one genuinely smart call you'll get right in the next 3 days. You tell no one. You ring the lottery office, sign the back in ink before you do anything else, and call in sick for the first time in 4 years, which feels like the first lie you've told that's actually protecting something. You find an estate attorney the way you find everything now, a search bar and a gut feeling. Her name is Renata. She calls back in 9 minutes, and her first question isn't about the money. It's whether you've told anyone yet. Good, she says, when you say no. Keep it that way until we've built the room you're about to walk into. The trust is filed in 5 days. You claim through it, not as yourself. 19 days after that first phone call, the number lands $189,300,000. You look at it on the same nightstand where you check the ticket under the same lamp, and what hits you isn't happiness. It's the drop in your stomach on the downside of a bridge. Your body already knows something irreversible just happened, and it's asking you to decide fast who you're going to be about it. Some people wait their whole lives for a moment like this. Nobody warns you it arrives feeling exactly like fear. Subscribe if you've ever done math at 3 a.m. on money you don't have yet, because the next 2 parts are where this actually gets expensive in ways no calculator sees coming. You already think you know what you do with the money. Everyone does. Almost none of that plan survives contact with the actual number, and you're about to watch yours fail in real time. The first month, you do almost nothing, Renata tells you to. You keep working 3 nights a week, same scrubs, same rent on the same 1-bedroom. Your co-workers notice nothing, except maybe that you seem calmer at the nurse's station than you've ever been. Your brother calls on Sundays like always, 40 minutes about his daughter's swim meet, and you say nothing. You're sitting on $189 million discussing an 8-year-old's backstroke. Nobody warns you that the strangest part of getting everything is how normal the first month is required to look. Month 2, Renata connects you with a wealth team. Priya runs it, composed, methodical, the kind of calm that makes you realize how long you've been white-knuckling everything without it. Beside her, a tax strategist who talks almost entirely in hypotheticals, and a private banker from an institution you've only ever seen in airport ads. They treat you with a careful, unfamiliar deference, like a coat that hasn't broken in yet. Priya asks what your goals are. You say you want to be careful. She nods like you've said something wise. You suspect everyone in that chair says the same thing, and caution rarely survives what happens next. Week 6, your first real decision. $60 million into a diversified portfolio built to throw off roughly $2.4 million a year, without ever touching the principal. Priya calls it the floor. You call it the first full night of sleep you've had since you were 19. You quit in month 3. No scene, 2 weeks' notice, a personal reason you don't explain. You've been quietly unremarkable long enough that your leaving lands like a stone dropped in still water. 1 ripple, then nothing. Month 5, you tell your brother, his kitchen, a Sunday, a speech you rehearsed that still comes out wrong. He laughs, goes pale, asks if you're serious 3 separate times, hugs you, then pulls back with something complicated on his face. Relief. Love. And a third thing you recognize instantly because you've been watching it in your own mirror for 5 months. It's the look of a person learning the rules of a game that changed, without asking him first. You give him $3 million, not calculated, just the number that said out loud in your head, doesn't feel like it's buying anything. He takes it quietly. He doesn't spend it recklessly. He calls more now, and some of those calls feel exactly like they always did, and some of them don't. And that gap is the part nobody warned you about. Not the money, the new geometry of every relationship you walk back into after this. Here's the part nobody puts in the headline. The money was never going to be the expensive part. Every relationship you have is about to get a new set of rules, and no one hands you the rule book. 2 mistakes are coming. One is a person, one is a building. They look nothing alike, and by the end of this you'll realize they were the exact same mistake wearing 2 different disguises. The first is your college roommate. He reacts to the news exactly like your brother did. Disbelief, then joy, then a business plan for a food truck he's wanted to run since you were 20, delivered inside 2 weeks. You give him $650,000, not because the math makes sense, but because saying yes to someone you love still feels better than almost anything else the money can buy. The truck runs 11 months, does fine, then folds when he and his partner fall out badly enough to end their business and nearly end your friendship too. You don't lose the money. You lose 4 months of a friendship to the particular silence of a man who knows exactly what he cost you. Nobody tells you this part in advance, so you learn it the hard way, standing in it. Money handed to someone you love is never just money. It carries the entire weight of the relationship strapped to its back, and when it fails, the relationship is what takes the fall. He calls eventually. You talk about other things. It survives, barely. The way a plant survives after you forget it for too long. Alive. But you can see exactly where it almost wasn't. The second mistake is the house. Month 10, 5,800 square feet, a pool, a wing you'll never once use because Priya calls real estate a reasonable allocation, and because you're tired of renting. Nobody tells you what an empty house sounds like at 11 p.m. when there's only one person in it to hear it. Every room you're not currently standing in starts to feel like a small accusation. You rattle around it for 6 months before admitting the truth. You bought the house a rich person is supposed to have, not the one that fits the actual shape of your life. You sell at a modest loss in year 2. The smaller place feels like yours within a week. The good decision is the foundation. Year 1, $9 million, covering tuition and housing for nursing students who'd otherwise have to work full shifts through their clinicals, the way you nearly didn't survive doing. Year 2, it funds 190 students. Year 3, 340. The letters arrive by hand, and you read every single one, because this is the only part of the entire new life that has never once felt complicated. By year 4, there's a routine. 2 volunteer shifts a month at the hospital, because it turns out you miss the actual patients more than you expected the job. The ticket sits in a fireproof box, signed in ink 9 minutes after the numbers matched. You've never taken it back out. You've never needed to. What happened that Wednesday morning was never the story. What happened after? Every mistake, every reckoning, every relationship that had to be rebuilt on new ground. That's the story. And 4 years in, it still isn't finished. That's the part nobody puts in the headline about $500 million. It doesn't end anything. It just hands you a much harder question and walks away before you can ask it to explain itself.